out there are affected very well. Really, nobody has reported any weirdness yet with any games that I've seen. I've been looking around, and I haven't seen anything on Reddit and nothing on NeoGAF for any corruption or anything else. So far, results seem really good. But I really do think that puts it over the top on a PS4 Pro. If you're on the fence, it makes it a lot more worth it now to me. It really does. It's a significant thing because there's only a couple of games. There's like about a 3% boost on the Xbox One S for a couple of games, like basically the ones that are made for HDR and HDR because they don't make any for 4K, but like Forza Horizon 3 and I think Gears of War 4 were showing like 3% performance boost. This is any game. Like, it doesn't have to be patched, nothing. Results are going to vary, but, the Arkham games that they remastered for PS4, originally the first one was actually showing a boost, and then they patched it and took it away. Well, now it works again. So, it's really cool. I mean, where you're going to see interesting results are games that don't have a frame rate cap or, have VSync turned on or turned off. That's where you're going to see a lot of varying stuff, but... yeah, just in the couple of games that I played, it was noticeable. It wasn't some little minor thing. It was a very noticeable change. Now, it's not like running it from 30 frames to 90 frames or something like that, but, it's really cool. It's making that game perform better. And I like it. I like what they did. So
yeah, a lot of what they were showing in their videos, there were a number of games where the target was 30. They'd be at 30 every now and then, but there would be big dips. Yeah. Down to 25, down to 20 sometimes. So what the Pro was doing with boost mode was keeping it at a consistent 30, or it was actually jumping over 30 in some of the games.
Right. Yeah, and that really depends on if they've capped the frame rate or So no, I definitely see me, using this. I actually want to see if it affects Yakuza 0, because I don't think Yakuza 0 has a PS4 Pro patch either. So when I start playing that finally, I want to see if that's affected at all. But
well, no, I really want to see if it does anything with Batman.
Telltale, yeah.
Those parts.
Oh, that's a really good point. I didn't even think of that myself either. Because I literally the game once I beat it, so...
It wouldn't be too hard to figure out, because...
No.
You could jump right... No, I'm saying you could jump
even the first
into
scene.
5, the last episode, because the beginning of the last episode is one of the places where everything goes to hell. That whole first scene. So I'd know immediately.
Jeez,
I have to try that.
I have to re-download it and try that out too.
Yeah.
And then I watched, finally, because I left the Blu-ray at my parents' house because I knew they wanted to see it and they hadn't watched it, and every time I go there I forget to ask. I watched the Ghostbusters reboot.
I really like that.
I did too. I enjoyed it. Now, I watched the extended version, so I don't know what they've added.
That's what I
they
watched,
didn't
yeah.
I will agree with Rock, though, because he saw it before I did, and he was talking about how Kate McKinnon kind of overdid it every now and then, Holtzman. And I agree. I think she really kind of went over the top a little bit too much. And I like Kate McKinnon a lot. I'm actually a big fan of hers, but there were a couple of scenes where dial it back a little bit. There were a couple of the scenes that I thought really didn't fit, because one of the things I always love about Ghostbusters is, yes, it's a comedy, but they played it as serious, as straight as they could. You know what I mean? And this one I thought was just a little more whimsical, just a little more playful.
That's what I liked about it. And the funny thing is, seeing it with a child made a huge difference, because seeing this one, and we watched both of them back to back. Whenever we watched them, we watched the original and we watched the new one. And I forget which order we went in, but he had already seen the new one anyway, and we watched it again. It was my first time watching it, but the funny thing is, and I think I talked about this when I was talking about us seeing it the first time, we got to an early scene in the original Ghostbusters, and Dan Aykroyd lights up a cigarette, and Mason's like, "What is that?" what does he have in his mouth? And I'm like, holy shit, you've never even been exposed to what a cigarette is. I was like, that is amazing. But then I had to explain that to him. And it was funny, though, because, yeah, it is a little more whimsical. It is a little more fun. I found myself laughing so much more in the new one. And when I think we watched that one first. And then when we went back to the original, it seemed a lot less funny because it isn't, because they do play it straight most of the time. And the jokes come when they come. And it just felt like there were much less jokes. And it's a very big contrast when you see them back to back.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Huge contrast. But I really, really enjoyed the new one. I was like, this is really funny.
I loved what they did with Thor. Holy crap.
Yes. And
he was awesome.
When they go and they're going to get the firehouse.
Yeah.
And she gives her the price.
Fuck you, what?
I could not stop laughing at that.
Yeah, that was really good.
It'll be $20,000. I'm like, fuck you. I'm sorry. $20,000. Who can afford that?
No, I really liked what they did with it. I'm a big fan of the guy that directed it, Paul Feig. He did Freaks and Geeks, and he also did that show that I talked about a couple weeks ago, Other Space. And there's like 5 different people from Other Space in this. Because the guy that plays the villain is in Other Space. And so it was crazy to watch that too. But the effects, holy shit. I mean, they really... And I don't know if you
did you see it in 3D?
No, I didn't watch it in 3D because it was at my parents have a 3D TV, but it's out in the living room. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if you noticed this, but on the Blu-ray and in the 3D cut, apparently, they actually overlap the effects over the black bars.
Yep.
That's insane how they did it.
I
love it. I freaking love it.
Yeah, and we were watching that, and Mason noticed it too, and I was like, oh my gosh, this must look amazing in 3D.
I told my parents that because my mom's asking me afterwards. She goes, "How was it?" I'm like, "Oh, it was pretty good." I said, "Watch it in 3D though," and I kind of told her like, "Yeah, it overlaps the black bars," and I said, "That's gonna look amazing in 3D."
Yeah.
So yeah, now I haven't tried 3D stuff on the VR headset yet, but I might grab that disc after they're done and give that a try.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch it in 3D yet because I'm trying to keep 3D almost entirely away from Mason for now.
Well, you kind of have to.
Well, you don't have to, but they say...
Bad for his eyes until he's like 8 years old.
Maybe.
Don't mess with your kid's vision.
I'm not.
Jeez.
I'm not.
That's just a recommendation, but...
That's not what I said. I said maybe because I looked into it. I said, well, what is the age? And I started to dig into it.
Yeah.
And the reality is there is no real consensus on it. Like, nobody actually knows anything. Nobody came down, like the doctors didn't all come down and say, all right, it must be around at least by 6 or whatever age. It varies from like 5 to 12 or something like that, and nobody really knows because there is not enough data out there to really get a consensus on it. And I said, well, I'll just wait anyway. I gave him little bits. I gave him like the very after credit scene of Minions because it's like 2 minutes long. I was like, that's not going to destroy him. Besides, if you go to a 3D movie, a kid's 3D movie, on like a Saturday, it is filled with children.
That's because there's a lot of bad parents out there.
Oh, exactly. But yeah, it's. I've been keeping that away from him. I'll show him like little bits and pieces of things because I'm like, this looks really cool. Watch this, and he's like, ooh. But he doesn't like it. The glasses don't fit him anyway.
Sure.
He has to hold them on his head the whole time, and he's not going to watch a movie like that. So.
Right.
But yeah, that's one of those weird things where nobody really knows if it is going to affect the kids or not. But I'm not rushing to give them stuff like this. So.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
It doesn't matter.
So, So the other thing about Ghostbusters, I loved all the cameos. I loved that they did as much as they did too. Did you watch after the credits? I hope.
I think so.
Because there was another cameo after the credits.
Probably. Oh.
All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that was really cool. So, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I would still probably take the original one over this if I had. If somebody held the two discs up in front of me and said you have to choose one to watch today, I would probably take the original one just because I love that movie so much. But I bought this, the new one on Blu-ray. I bought it in 3D, 4K, everything, and I'll watch it again for sure. There was definitely enough there to warrant watching it multiple times, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I thought it was very, very funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk about what's going on around PS Nation. I'll review the Platinum Wireless headphones from Sony. I see we have a couple of emails to read, and we'll get the hell out of here. So we'll be right back. We are back. And we forgot to bring this up, Josh. E3. 15,000 people can get public passes now.
All right. I'm going to say, I'm pissed off about this. And it's not like, ooh,
You're
I
so
was
entitled,
in
Josh.
No, it's not, I was in an exclusive club and now everybody can get in. I don't give a shit about that. I give a shit about the fact that even when it was an exclusive club, it's jam-packed on the fucking floor in places. There are places, granted, especially last year.
Last year was,
Because big sections of big companies pulled out of the floor in South Hall, especially. They were almost all in South Hall. And it left big empty spaces. That's great. West Hall, where Sony is,
and Nintendo.
Everybody, and Nintendo, and Microsoft, all right on top of each other.
Yep.
It's jam-fucking-packed. And it's most of the week, anytime I needed to be in there, I'm squeezed up, trying to force my way through people just to get to where I needed to go.
Yeah.
Now they're going to add 15,000 more people on top of this? Fuck me.
Exactly. Well, so... And I'm the same way. It's not the exclusive club thing with me because, quite frankly, I was the same way when I was in my younger years, and that's why I talked the buyer at EB into getting me passes for CES because I wanted to go and I really wanted to check it out. But there's a couple things that are a little bit different nowadays. First off, there are a lot more shows out there, including PAX, and PAX, in my opinion, is way better for gaming fans than E3 is. It really is. Because PAX, they give away a lot of swag. They have it more regional, so there's a South, there's one in Australia, there's one in Seattle, there's one in Boston. It's easier to get to. But on the same lines that Josh is on, it's not just the people on the floor and all that and walking through the halls. And we're trying to get from appointment to appointment. And I even saw a couple PR people like, oh, but everybody does everything by appointment. I'm like, yeah, but you still have to make it to the appointment. And that's a real pain in the ass when they're checking IDs at the door every time now. And you know it's going to be just as bad this year.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be worse trying to get in those doors. And you have an appointment in West Hall from 1 to 1:30 and an appointment in South Hall from 1:30 to 2.
Yeah, so we're going to be a lot more fortuitous with that calendar.
Fuck me.
But here's my big problem with all of it. Parking which is already a gigantic pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And we get there early, and getting a hotel. Hotel is a nightmare to try to get a hotel that's affordable around there, especially when we're taking 6 people. And now I have to try to find 3 rooms for 6 days in the same hotel and make it affordable enough that we can actually afford it. And now there's going to be 15,000 more people going. And I've seen other people say this, but this really does hurt the smaller sites. This doesn't hurt the IGNs. It doesn't hurt the GameStops or the GameSpots. It doesn't hurt Giant Bomb, et cetera, et cetera. It hurts the smaller sites. And it's not about the coverage. It's not about, because we get appointments. That's a given. And that's why we do E3 because, and that's why I don't do PAX, because they barely do appointments at PAX, and when they do, it's just come by our booth. Well, that's not really the point of it. You want to get some alone time with the game so you can talk to the people and be able to actually have something to talk about. And it's not gonna be good. But everybody's talking about how, and we saw it last year with EA pulling out and Disney was gone, obviously, and there was a lot of open space in South Hall, and it was pretty dead in South Hall. Activision pulling out too, that was huge. Yeah. And it was dead in South Hall, but West Hall was insane.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, well, E3's on their last legs. Do we even need E3 anymore? I'm like, yeah, we do, because people that are covering this stuff need somewhere to go, and that's the whole thing.
I kind of hope that they move Microsoft or Nintendo or Sony or two
Microsoft
of them.
needs to go back to South Hall.
Yeah.
They do.
One or two of them absolutely need to move back to South Hall if nobody comes back. If with 15,000 more people and it's just the general public, if suddenly Activision and all the others say, oh, well, all right, now we'll do a booth again on the floor.
Well, and
then
remember
great.
how fucked up EA's thing was last year? And they're doing that again this year. So now we're going to have 15,000 more people hanging out outside the EA event across the street.
Okay, so don't expect a whole lot of EA coverage.
I doubt we'll even go to the press conference this year, quite frankly, because it was such a nightmare last year. Yeah.
It was. We were on the list, and we weren't on the list.
Well, we actually went. We thought we were going to be smart. We went and got our badges early at the hotel the day before and all that, and then we got there like, well, you don't have to raise stuff. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. We were on the list, and everybody outside was like, yeah, you're good. And we went inside, and no, you're not good. And then you go back out, and you had to go through like a security line and a metal detector every single time you walked in or out.
Yeah, and now they're going to
with a line on it.
Potentially 15,000 more people to deal with all that. And again, it's not about this whole exclusive club thing, and we're not bitching about the fact that
it's the
public are going to be there. It's the amount of people that we have to try to get around to go to our appointments.
It's too much.
Yeah,
it's too much.
I know it sounds whiny and bitchy and everything else, but it's a reality. We're trying to cover as much as we can. That's why we take 6 people. We're lucky enough to take 6 people.
Yeah,
and
it's not a week to play in LA. It's a week we're working our asses off all week long in LA.
We don't even go to parties anymore.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing we go to is the Sony thing, but that's specifically to sit with developers and Sony people.
Right.
And that's the only reason we're there. It's not like it's a party. Like, woo, it's just a very quiet, very low key.
It's the only time we actually get to relax that entire week.
Yeah.
And now I'm gonna have to call the hotel tomorrow and get our reservations right away. So hopefully nobody else finds our hotel and fills it up. And which it probably is, and we're going to end up staying out by the airport and have to drive in an hour and a half every day, and we're going to end up spending more on a hotel room, and I don't even want to think about this right now. Yeah, people don't think about that kind of thing. I mean, the economics alone are really going to be affected here. We can't afford to stay at the hotel right by the convention center for like $400 a night at 3 rooms. There's no way we have that kind of money. It's unless somebody wants us to start a Patreon, they can all pay for our E3 room. Yeah. So
It's gonna be
anyway,
just-
I mean, I will say, it's cool for gamers. You
It
know,
is.
it's cool that it's opened up, but quite frankly, and in all seriousness, the need for needing to go to something like an E3 and a CES even before that, I think it was a much bigger thing before PAX existed. Because PAX, literally, like, one of the big reasons I don't go to PAX, there's a few reasons I don't go to PAX, but one of the big reasons is the stuff we see there is exactly what we see at E3.
Yeah.
It's never anything new. The reason I go to PAX ever is to hit the indie mega booth. That's really the only thing, because there aren't as many indies at E3. Because they usually have to get a spot at like Microsoft or Sony's booth.
But now, consider this, like even New York Comic Con,
Yeah.
I would go see stuff at Comic Con, and I'd walk in and they'd be like, they'd say, oh, we have this, this, and this for you. I'm like, well, is it the same as E3? Yeah, all right, then I don't need to see that. Is it the same as E3? Yeah, all right, I don't need to see that. Because it's just the way it is. So,
But the thing is, PAX is much more quote-unquote gamer-friendly than an E3 is. E3
Yeah.
is still buyers and marketers and all this other crap that we never deal with. And PAX is much more gamer-friendly. And, you know, I always hear that PAX East is so much nicer than PAX Prime because it's a way bigger venue and whatnot. Obviously, I never make it because it's around the same time as MGC is, but that's the thing. I would have been excited about it too, but then I'm sure I would have said, well, but I can just go to PAX. Why do I have to go to E3? And Boston's cheaper than LA, I guarantee you.
and the thing is, it's the name. It's E3.
It is.
It's the one, and it's the Holy Grail, and everybody always wanted to go, but you couldn't go unless
Right.
you were this or unless you were that. And now people can go, so they're all excited. And
Yeah.
I mean,
So now are we going to have the big battle that we have every year to get our media badges? If they're letting 15,000 more people in, that should mean that they're going to let media in too, right?
oh, we better fucking not. If they deny one of us,
Yeah. It'll be Emery.
we should absolutely raise holy hell. You let in 15,000 of the public and you don't have room for us? Fuck you.
Yeah. I'm not going to raise holy hell. It is what it is.
I
But
know,
I agree.
but-
I mean, that was the whole thing about E3.
But that's
is,
absurd.
Like the first year that Mark and I went, I'm surprised they gave us media badges. I really am. I mean, we were tiny, but we had joystick behind us, and that's why I think we got it.
Yeah.
But then the next year that you and I went, we had no problem. The year after, like, we're going to let less people in. We're like, what? Wait, what? But our numbers are bigger. And it's just every year is this big struggle I have to deal with every single time. Because it's always somebody different that you talk to. There's not like one contact, you know, and it's always so much fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do really feel like it's a privilege to be able to go, and I'm grateful every year that we get to.
It is,
But
yeah.
it's
and
such
it's fantastic.
a freaking nightmare.
But it can be, yeah. And with all the people, I mean, and I was trying to look for pictures from last year, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
I didn't take any pictures because I didn't have my camera out because I was wedged into this area because the problem, especially right there last year,
Yeah.
right at the corner, there's a four-way, there's like an intersection. So on one corner you have the corner of the Sony booth. The other corner is the corner of the Nintendo booth. The other corner is the corner of they were doing Persona 5.
Yeah, Atlas was there. Yeah.
Atlas was right there doing Persona 5 and doing live presentations
Yeah.
constantly and you know, drawing a crowd on purpose right there in that.
Oh yeah.
On the other corner, you had, is it IGN?
No, that was
their
GameSpot.
GameSpot with their
Yeah.
live video booth thing set up and all this.
Right.
So right there in that one intersection, which is the main intersection when you walk into the West Hall,
Oh, it's a nightmare.
it's jam-packed with people trying to get, because people going crossways on that are trying to get over to the Microsoft booth, which is behind everything.
Yep. Well, and not just that.
going the
A
other
lot of that
way
was
is
Nintendo's
Oculus.
fault. Yeah, a lot of that was Nintendo's fault though, because they were doing that line that all they had was Zelda Breath of the Wind or whatever it's called, That's all they had for Wii U. The only game that was playable. I think they were showing some other stuff, but that was their entire booth was Zelda. And the line, like, if you didn't get in line by noon, you weren't going to play it that day. And the line stretched all the way through everything and got in everyone's way. And I remember specifically, I think it was like Wednesday morning. I think it was like me and MJC were trying to get in to get over to the Sony booth for an appointment. And we had to like shove people out of the way because they would just meander over, it was almost like being at PAX where they would just meander over and stop right in front of you. And I think Dave actually took somebody down last year. Like this dude just stopped short on him and Dave just ran right into him and bowled him over. But I agree, that corner is the worst.
Yeah.
And now, oh my God. When the doors open in the morning and how bad the line is in the morning, now there's going to be 15,000 more people. Are you fucking kidding me? I cannot do an appointment for the first hour of V3 every day. There's no way.
Yeah.
Because we can't guarantee we'll be there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just thought of that. Because that line's already ridiculous. And now it's going to be...
Unless it's in like a room upstairs somewhere, then we can do it. But if it's on the floor, if it's at a booth on the floor, there's no way we're going to make it.
Nope. Wow. Because that line, I mean, that line, go on YouTube, folks, and this is for E3 line when the door opens or whatever, and it's ridiculous. And South Hall's even worse because...
And it's not like the doors open and everybody can run in. The doors open and then you bottleneck, as they scan a little thing on your ID because they have a black light on it and the whole...
Yeah, because the giant bomb guys or Destructoid guys got rolled a couple of years ago for their badges. So now they have all this extra security.
And you have to have out for a couple days there for a while. You have to have out your badge and your license, your driver's license,
or your passport.
And they would have to check the two of them together before they would let you in. Yeah, now imagine that with 15,000 people behind you.
And you know they're
I should try to get in those doors. It's that close, dude.
This is going to be a big make or break in terms of, the laws of diminishing returns.
I'm going to need to take Joel on a stick just so we can find each other. I'm going to hold it over my head. Just so we know where anybody is. We should all have our own Joel on a stick, and when you're walking, just hold it high above your head and go, oh, there's somebody. And then we can meet up with each other that way.
Yeah, I just thought of that door thing. I remember we found that shortcut last year. We found the door that nobody knew about in South Hall. It was amazing. That ain't going to happen this year.
No, everybody found it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right, let's move on.
So what's going on around PS Nation, Josh?
Well, since Andy's a lazy fuck and he stopped putting up the weekly posts on the...
Yeah, Andy. Building rockets and shit. I think that's more important than the daily poll.
Well, he better not leave the country.
Yeah, no shit. Never let him come back unless he opens his phone.
Exactly.
Oh,
all right. Onward. So, reviews. Speaking of Andy, Neo. He did the review for Neo last week. I forget whether he liked it or not.
I'm pretty sure he did.
You're going to have to read it to find out, I think. But he reviewed Neo. Pretty big review. I finally got a written review up for Lego Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Oh, nice.
The PlayStation 4 version. So that one went up right before the Golden Mine carts. Then we have... this was funny. I sat down because right before the Golden Mine carts, I was like, Job Simulator, we need to get a review up. So I finally sat down and I wrote the review. And as I am literally just putting in the screens and finishing it up, Chaz goes, did you write that review yet? Because I have it done. And I was like...
Yeah, when you said you were writing one, I'm like, Chaz was doing that.
Yeah. Well, he was... But he had all kinds of personal stuff going on, and it dropped by the wayside, and I was like, I'm not going to bother him. It needs to be done, like, right now, today, and I don't want to throw that on him and say, do you have it done? So I just said, I'll just write it. because I did it and I wrote it, and he's like, "Fuck, I had it done," and I was like, "Well, but it wasn't there, and I just didn't want to bother you. I just,
Sure.
you got your own shit to deal with in life, so
Stupid life.
everybody has life to deal with, and I don't want to burden somebody with, oh, did you do a review? You know?
Indeed.
So I just did it.
Nice.
From what he told me, our scores would have been pretty close anyway.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So I gave it a 7. He would have given it a 7.5. Oh, now you don't have to read the review. Fuck you. Go read the review. So that review is up there. Then Emra did Hunter's Legacy. Yeah. He did Hunter's Legacy, which, if you're a fan of Rugrats,
Okay.
you may like the art style.
Okay.
That's about it. Yeah, but it sounds like an interesting one. Either
Sure.
way, I would check out that review. And Double Dragon 4 from Roy,
Nice.
which
Yeah, it's not like Double Dragon Neo where they kind of redid a lot of stuff. It looks like, and I have the game, I just haven't played it yet, but they actually kind of went back to the old 8-bit look that Double Dragon looked like on the NES.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And Michael MJC has a review up for Line Light. So go read that and turn and laugh as it gets weepy and emotional over the line. Which actually I'm now interested in downloading this because it seems like an interesting puzzle game.
Sure.
So yeah,
Cool.
that's it.
Yeah. All right. So the Platinum headphones. Sony sent these to us right around the time they were released. I've been using them quite extensively, and I gotta say, I have very mixed feelings about them. I mean, I've got the gold. I actually have 2 different gold headphones. I've got the regular ones, and I've got the 20th anniversary branded ones.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have them for to go with my 20th anniversary PS4.
Mm-hmm.
So, design-wise, in terms of the hardware, very simple design. I actually like how the hardware is designed quite a bit. It doesn't have a boom microphone at all, so it still has that built-in microphone like the Golds have and the Pulse have. The mic itself, it sounds good enough, but it's not like a regular boom mic where you're getting kind of direct voice. I've had a couple of people say that I kind of sound a little hollow, that sort of thing. But it's pretty typical for those kind of headphones. It's good. But the microphone, it's about the same quality as the Gold, honestly. It uses 50mm drivers now, so you're supposed to get a lot more bass out of that. But also the 50mm drivers are really good for the 3D technology that they're running in this thing. And they sound good. I mean, quality-wise, they're very clean. You get a really good range from high to low. But again, when you don't have that 3D switch turned on, quite frankly, I kind of feel like they sound a little flat comparatively. I don't know if it's just because I'm spoiled because I've been using some good headphones lately from Turtle Beach and from Master Gaming and Plantronics, but I've been playing quite a bit with the switch turned off so I can check it out, and I'm not really getting... I mean, it's really only 2 channel at that point. You're not getting that full 7.1, that Dolby Virtual 7.1 when you have it turned off. You're only getting the stereo sound. So it's kind of this weird trade-off. Either you have it turned off and you get stereo, or you turn it on and it's that virtual 3D sound. That works with any game, but the only game that's made for it right now is obviously Uncharted 4. But switches are pretty easy to get to. You've got toggle switches for both volume and also for the balance between your chat and game volume. There's a switch on the other side for turning 3D on and off. And the other thing is, these have 2 slots for when you go into the headphone application on the PS4 to assign different profiles. So it's the same application you've been using for the Pulse Elites and for the Golds. They've updated it so it does show the Platinums in there, so it knows which ones you have. And you can assign 2 different profiles. So you can either put a game-specific one in there if they make one for like Uncharted 4, Last Guardian, etc., or they have the generic ones for shooter and action game and movie and music, or you can actually set up your own profile as well. And like I said, there's 2 different switches, so you can have like I keep shooter on one and I keep action on the other one, because that's pretty much all the games I play right now. Very easy to manage. The app works great, you know, and you know, when you're making up your own profile, it is kind of funny when you really think about the fact that there's really only 3 things you're adjusting. You know, treble, bass, and mid. That's really all you're adjusting. So, but it's cool if they have that, and you don't need the app specifically, but out of the box, there is no profile loaded on these headphones. So if you don't use the app, it's just going to be all pretty just evened out. But the only thing I don't like about the hardware is the fact that there's like this rubber band, like not a rubber band, but a rubber band that's on top of your head. So one thing over the Golds that they did really well with these is the fact that the Golds and the Pulse Elites actually liked to crack toward the hinges and above the earpieces. It was kind of a common thing on those where they would crack after a lot of use. These, they still have a lot of plastic by the ear cups and everything else, but the band that goes over your head on top is actually metal. And it feels very strong, it feels very resilient, very solid. But underneath that is this rubber piece that actually fits on top of your head, obviously because you don't want a piece of metal on top of your head. The thing about it, though, and I'm not the only one that said this, it just feels like it's kind of tight on top of your head. I don't know, it's just kind of an annoyance. And again, it might just be because I've been using some very comfortable headphones lately from Turtle Beach and from Astro, but you know, they all have padding up on there, and this is like this big piece of rubber. The other thing that I really wish that they would figure out, and I'm spoiled because the Logitech G933 had these, is I would really have liked them to figure out somewhere to put the USB dongle and store it in the headphone cell.
Yeah.
And you can't.
Yeah.
Now, obviously the G933s I think are the only ones that really do that, but now that I've had that feature and I use those headphones at work, I really like it because, again, profile as well. And like I said, there's 2 different switches, so you can have like I keep shooter on one and I keep action on the other one.